What is going on, everybody? Sorry, for some reason I hit the mute instead of turning it off. That was weird. Okay, so I guess it was on before I clicked the little button. Anyway, so there's one of the projects that I really follow pretty close, or try to follow them pretty close, that you guys all know about, most likely, is Conceal, CCX, and they are revamping their deposits. And I think the hard fork is probably going to happen sometime in January, probably January 8th, somewhere around that time frame. So I wanted to kind of go over a little bit about that. Not going to be a long stream. I'm going to try to keep it kind of short. I did get my motherboard in today, so that's awesome. So I'll be able to hopefully build this machine pretty soon. I had everything set up, and I was going to do like processor install and memory install and stuff. And I started kind of thinking about what I had here, and I actually need a new power supply. I could use one of the power supplies out of one of the rigs that's not on right now. But I just started thinking about it. I'm like, why would I build a brand new computer without a brand new power supply? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm probably going to order a power supply and get that squared away. So it's going to postpone the building of the computer for a little bit, maybe. I mean, I could do the little step-by-step stuff like the motherboard, CPU, or the CPU install and RAM install and stuff. I probably will do that. But anyway, let's get back to CCX. Here, just a second. So if you aren't familiar, CCX, Conceal.Network, has been around. I think they launched sometime early last year, March, April, something like that, in 2018. And they are a privacy coin. I would consider them a privacy coin. And one of their things is that they have, one of their features is they have deposits and investments right now. That's what they have. And again, privacy coin, kryptonite, Conceal. Kryptonite Conceal is the algorithm. And really solid project, solid community, solid devs. Everything's really great about the project overall. But it is it's a really micro cap. It doesn't have a whole lot of traction in the whole overall crypto sphere, I guess you could say. I want to say it's down in the, I don't know what rank they are as far as coin market cap goes. Let's find out real quick. Maybe my machine wants to work. Yeah, so they're right around 1,000 rank, and they're right at 10 cents. They did have a really good run this year. They went up to 85 cents or 86, something like that. And kind of, I don't know what happened here. I don't know. This doesn't look like, this is not really organic to me. This seems like a little bit of, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to speculate, but with such a small market cap coin, I mean, look, they're 540,000 market cap. Okay, that's super small. Even in the crypto world, that's small. And the volume today, which is actually a lot, is 92,000. That's a lot for this project. It's one of those hidden gems that I found at the end of last year, or actually in the summer of last year. I started looking at them, and I was like, man, I can't remember. I need to research this because I really need to find out if this was if the way I discovered it was on the Random Coin Mining Show, because it might have been. I really need to look into that to see when I first discovered CCX. I don't know, but it seems like it was definitely in the summer. But if it was the summer of 2018, then that would be before. I think what happened was I think I actually ran across it somehow. Someone, whenever I was investigating some privacy coins or something, and either a friend mentioned it, or I don't know. I don't know the details of how I actually went to their website and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then it did end up on the Random Coin Mining Show a couple of times, at least once. And so from there, I just kind of really grew to really like the project and stuff. And I know I'm like totally rambling, and I don't want to do that. So let me get into it. Oh, what's up, Shuby? Hey, what's up, Dan? Thanks for tuning in. I know there's football on, so y'all probably want to watch that instead of some crazy dude on the internet. But they tweeted out, they being CCX, tweeted out recently, and this is not it. And that's not it. I don't know what happened here. Let's see if I can find it again. But it was a, let's see here. All right, here we go. So it was a tweet, about the deposit revamp that they're doing. It looks like it's going to be a hard fork in January of 2020. So it's coming up pretty soon. Looks like it'll be at block 413-400 on or about January 8th. And then, so what is this all about? Well, Conceal, one of their things is, like I said at the top, is banking. So they have deposits and investments. And these deposits and investments are basically an on-chain, and if you've been watching the channel at all, like over the past year, you probably already know this because I cover Conceal pretty frequently. But basically, it's a hash time lock contract, so you can lock up coins, and it's cold staking, which is super cool because you don't have to have a VPS server out there with a wallet wide open staking your coins. You stake them on the chain, on the blockchain, and it's locked into the blockchain, and you can turn your wallet off after you stake them. I mean, it's super cool the way that they did this, and whatever you stake actually earns interest. And I want to bring this up, and I was so tempted. I've actually DM'd Richard Hart about this before because he just released Hex and it's drawn a lot of attention. And one of the things that he says is that Hex is the first high interest blockchain CD. And I mean, obviously, there's no way of him knowing about CCX. CCX is super small cap. I understand that he wouldn't know what it is or that capability is actually out there. But I think it's important to point out that it's not new and that it's not the first high interest on-chain blockchain CD, right? I mean, we're looking at it. This is it. As far as I know, CCX is the first high interest blockchain CD. Because his Hex, I think, is 3.98% interest or something like that. And if you look at the numbers that CCX has, it's quite a bit more than that. And we'll get into that in a minute, but I just want to point that out. Like, it's one of the things that whenever I listen to Richard, I love Richard Hart. But whenever I hear him talk and whenever he says that one specific thing, I'm like, that's not really true. There are other projects that have that same capability. So that's what he's promoting, not him, but that's what Hex is promoting as their claim to fame as a high interest blockchain CD. But it's not the only one, right? Or the first high interest blockchain CD. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting into territory that I don't want to get into, but I did want to point that out because I think it's important. So I think that it's kind of cool that this project is actually the first one that I know of. Anyway, all right. So it's all done from within the wallet. It's super clean, super nice. The way that they do it. I've gone over this before, but I'll quickly cover it again. The way it is set up now in the current project or the current situation, the current feature set, is that you have deposits and investments, and a deposit can be anything from 1 CCX to whatever, but it's done by weeks. So the maximum is 52 weeks. And some of this stuff is going to sound a little bit familiar if you've been following Hex at all, right? Because one of the things in Hex is that first staking period is basically a year. So there's a lot of not similarities. There's definitely not similarities between this project and Hex, other than the staking feature, right? That's basically almost identical, except that CCX actually has a higher interest rate, if I'm looking at this correctly. So anyway, so in this case, I just have one of the rigs mining mining wallets open, and so that's all I'm looking at here. I'm just kind of goofing around with this just to show you, but I clicked add all. 864 is what's in the wallet, and you can do that for 52 weeks, right? And you can see over here the numbers changing, the interest rate is changing. So if you stake for 52 weeks, that would get you up to 4.16, which basically would add 35 CCX to this number. Now again, another thing that you have to remember about this project and Hex is that whenever they're talking about the interest earned and all that stuff, it is literally in the cryptocurrency that you're talking about. It's not in USD or Canadian or anything like that. It is in the currency, the cryptocurrency that you're staking in, okay? So whenever you're looking at these percentages and the number and all that, it's in CCX, which has no correlation whatsoever to the value in USD, right? Because that could be totally different. I mean, it is going to be totally different. There's no telling what it will be. But this is supposed to drive a little bit of that value based on what's circulating, what's locked up, what the value, well, not what the value is of the coin at the time, but the locking up and the staking and all that should drive the value up depending on how much percentage of CCX is actually locked up. And I think maybe we'll go to the website to find out, but I think it's still a really high amount. I want to say it was in the 60 or 70% range, maybe even higher, that was actually staked right now. So that means the circulating supply, the part that you can actually send to and from parties or to and from individuals' wallets, is lower, right? So so you would think if that's the case, the value would go up. Now, I actually asked one of the devs or community managers about CCX and whether or not you could see. Here's another thing that this has that Hex doesn't, is privacy, right? Which in this case, this one specific case, might be a little bit of a problem, because if you were to, because one of the claims for Hex is that you when people are going to unstake, right? Or whenever they're going to, or whenever they have to restake their claim, whatever their coins are that they have locked up, because there's websites for monitoring the stake ending dates, right? So it's got it all laid out. Well, with CCX, you can't do that because it's a privacy coin and only you know when your stake ends, right? So that's one thing that is a little bit different, and there's probably not ever going to be a way of knowing. I wish that there was, because that would be really cool if you could see on a chart, kind of like Hex, where each stake is going to end, or the end date. I think that would be really useful, but I get it. It's a privacy coin. You don't want to release that information, but I just wish that there was a way of doing it without using, you'd have to use addresses, of course, but it seems like there might be a way of doing it, and I think that it would be cool. But anyway, even if it was just a number, like a month, but they can't, because they don't even know, they being the devs won't even know how much you have in your wallet, right? So yeah, hey, I get it. Privacy coin, it's not a drawback. It's actually a good thing that it's like that. But when comparing it to another one that is, drawn a lot of attention, it's kind of a sticking point, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Let me know in the chat what y'all are thinking about here. I'm not even looking at the chat, sorry. Hey, what's up, Crypto Sewer? I saw you on Twitter today. Thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get back at this a little bit. I don't have anything, you know, normally I have at least some notes. I don't have anything, but I did highlight some stuff on the web, on their Medium post, I think. So let's just go ahead and head over there and kind of check it out. So this was their Medium post about the Deposits 3.0. This is basically their third generation of deposit method or deposit mathematics and features, right? So the first Deposits 1.0 was really tough because there was no compound interest. It was just interest flat out, and it wasn't compounding. So I think that the problem with that was people were staking for a really short amount of time or something. Yeah, it says right here, people ended up depositing low amounts of funds for the minimum period of time allowed. So that means that it wasn't really having a positive effect on the value. Not that that's the driving factor, but it is a factor, right? And it wasn't having a driving, or it wasn't driving the value of the project because people were staking for short times, you know, with the interest, and that's it. So the second generation was, well, actually, let's see here. Yeah, so on version 2.0, it looks like the majority of the deposits kept being locked for lower periods of time, and that's where we're at right now. So the majority of deposits kept being locked for lower periods of time, favoring essentially big bag holders. And you can see that in the wallet where there's deposits, right, like I was covering just a minute ago, but you also have investments. And the investments are done by quarter, and you can go up to 5 years on this, right? 20 quarters. But the minimum was 50,000, right? And I'm bad at doing math on the fly, but if CCX is at 10 cents right now, and you add 50,000, or you needed 50,000, I think that's $5,000, I think. So you would need $5,000 worth of CCX in order to utilize the investment feature, which was higher interest, right? Because if you go all the quarters, let's see here, it actually ends up being cumulative of 36%. So on 50,000, if you do it for 5 years, you would get 18,311 above the 50,000. So you would end with 68,311. So, I mean, that's substantial. That is a huge percentage, right? I mean, it's over 5 years, but still, you know, that's a pretty big return. All depends on what the value of CCX is. I get that, but if you look at it just for what it is on the blockchain and the cryptocurrency that you're staking, that's a huge amount. So the new way that they're going to do it is Deposits 3.0. They've put a lot of effort into this and a lot of thought into this and how it's going to work. But basically there were two primary considerations. The first was simplicity. They wanted to reduce the complexity, and that meant that the proposal involved merging the existing weekly deposits and quarterly investments. Because this is one of the questions I had. Because like right now, you know, I have not a lot, but I have quite a bit of CCX actually locked up, and it's for past the hard fork time. So how's that going to work, right? So I think that what this means right here is that they were going to cryptographically or mathematically and cryptographically change that or merge these two together to make sense. And think about that. That is, if that's the way it's going to work, that's crazy, right? Because there's a lot of value locked up. There's, like I said, there's more than 50%. I think there's 60 or 70% that's actually locked up. Actually, let's go and see if we can find that out really quick here. I think I can go here to find out. Yeah, 64%. So if you look right here, there's 64% of CCX that's actually locked up. That's a huge amount. Only 35% is actually circulating. So think about that. They are going to have to the only way I could see them doing it is like they're saying, they're going to have to merge it, you know, basically during the fork, right? So the fork, the computations of the fork, you know, whatever the new changes are to the network, we'll have to combine those and make it make sense. Sounds dangerous. So that was the first thing, was to make it easy. So in order to make it easy, it looks like they're going to do that merging for us, for the holders, for the stakers, and they're not going to rely on us to do something ourselves, like mathematically, or I don't know. I couldn't imagine like them requiring the users to actually do something to make this right. So the second consideration was, as the value of Conceal has increased since the launch of investments, and at this point it's actually not that much. I think I don't know what it started at in the investments. It probably has increased quite a bit since then, but I know that recently it got down to 6 cents, and then it went on that crazy run up to 86 cents or 85 cents. So right now it's at 10, I believe. We can look that up too. Yeah, right now it's at 10 cents USD. So yeah, it's not quite as bad as like trying to do this whenever it was at 80 cents compared to, you know, what it started at investments. So anyway, they also wanted it to be socially inclusive, more accessible to everyone. So they were determined to reduce the requirements for better rates. All right, so what that means is that they, instead of having that 50,000 minimum, they wanted to make it a little bit more accessible to higher interest rates, accessible to more people. So small, you know, minnows and not whales, right? So you can see right here that they went with a tiered approach, and it looks like tier 1 is less than 10,000. Tier 2 is 10,000 to 20,000, and then tier 3 is 20,000 and above. And then each one of these tiers actually has their own interest rate, base APR. So you got 2.9 for less than 10. So it does benefit larger holders, of course, but that's okay. I mean, that's the way it should work, right? So if you look down here, it looks like the effective annual rate is in red here, and these are the compounded rate for doing like a year, I think. Yeah, annual. So if you win a whole year, then that's what it would be. So it says right here, their compound interest model developed completely in-house, takes cryptocurrencies data analytics, markets volatility, and shorter time frames into account. So they've got a couple of nice little spreadsheets or charts or whatever here to show you basically what you are looking at. So you can tell they put a lot of work into this and a lot of thought. But here's the practical example. So for example, if you were to stake, cold stake, and let me clarify this too. So cold staking, I think I did say this at the top, but I want to reiterate. So you don't have to leave your wallet online, and there's no server that you have to rent or anything like that. Once it's done on the blockchain, and it's locked. It's HTLC, hash time lock contract. That is it. It's over. Once you lock it, that's it. You can shut your wallet down and come back whenever the stake ends, and they'll be released to you. And the way that you can look at this is if you go to banking, and actually in here, let me get into a wallet just so you can see what I'm talking about here. I'm going to get into a wallet that has something staked in it already. Just a second here. All right, so in this wallet, you can see that there are 2,137 staked. But if you go to banking, and then you can see right over here what was locked. So if you double click on it, you can see the interest rate that you earned for the time that you locked for. So in this case, I don't know the time, but it does say February 20th. Okay, so it was August 21st. So it looks like, was that 6 months? Yeah, 6 months. So this was a 6-month stake, and we gained 2%, almost 2%, 1.94. So for the 1,000 that we locked up, we're going to gain 20 basically. Right? And that's what it shows us in the wallet right here. That's part of this. So the number that it shows here is what you're going to get once that stake ends. Now, obviously, there's 3 different stakes in this. So, you know, you got 761, 329, and 1,000. And they're all going to unstake at different times. Like this one is March. You know, so that one was a little bit longer. This one is April, it looks like. So, yeah, so there's like kind of spaced out dollar cost averaged a little bit there, it looks like. Not necessarily on purpose, but it just kind of happened that way. So, okay. So you can see here, you know, this is a good little chart showing you how to get the maximum amount. Pretty cool. And it looks like they're still testing this on testnet right now. I would assume that things are going pretty well because they're not pushing back like on the date. It looks like, and actually just recently they released the date, or a roundabout date, January 8th of 2020, as to when this is going to go live and hard fork. I would assume there's going to be lots of other upgrades because I know that they were working on a lot of things. This was the main thing that came out of consensus that they were going to work on, but there are other things that they were working on as well. I believe that the staking feature is probably going to go into the web wallet, or what do they call this? Conceal. What's that called? Not web wallet. Cloud. Conceal Cloud. And so it's going. This is not Conceal Cloud. Wait a minute. This is Conceal Cloud. All right. So yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of having everything look consistent. Is like, look at the difference between these two. It's kind of funny. The Explorer and then the Cloud. All right, so inside of Conceal Cloud, they're also going to have staking capabilities. It's not active yet. I would assume that that might come at the hard fork as well. I don't know for sure, but it's possible. And then also in the mobile wallet, they are also going to have staking as well. I think I had the mobile wallet up here. I probably can show you that. And it's pretty slick. It looks a lot like the web or the cloud and the desktop. I mean, color-wise anyway. But I think that this is going to get an update as well, and you're supposed to be able to stake from any of the 3 different platforms. So that's going to be kind of cool. So I would like to end it here. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I don't know if you guys have any questions or what you think about CCX. Just leave it in the comments below. And I'll leave links to all this info about Conceal in the description as well, if you're curious about what it is. But what I was going to say earlier about Richard Hart, I think I probably could have at least got him into the chat, right? Because you know, I've talked to him before at like DM and stuff. You know, I mean, I'm just saying that I've brought up things like on his website and stuff that alerted him to, but I was really close to tagging him in the tweet that I sent out about this stream, and but I don't know if I would be prepared to, you know, 100% not defend, but, you know, compare Hex with CCX. I think I would have to do a little bit more research. So super cool project. Been watching it for a really long time. You know, it's one of those ones that they go not silent, but they do get busy on the project. So they will not be as active in social media and Twitter and even in Discord and stuff. They're usually in Discord, but you know, to help folks. But they do get a little bit busy sometimes. It's a small team, so you know, we brought this up before with the small dev teams and how little things can affect the project as a whole. So you just got to keep that in mind. I'm not shilling this. I'm not sponsored by them in any way whatsoever. I just like the project. I like the guys that are running it. I like the devs. I like the social media managers, whatever you want to call them, the social presence guys. I like the whole thing. I like the way that they. Whoa, that was crazy. I like the way that they handle controversy. I like all that stuff. It's just a good, solid project. So, not scammy at all. I hate even saying that word because it's not even remotely applicable to this. I do wish them the best. I hope that valuation goes up. I think that it's such a solid project. It's just so undervalued. But it's going to take, not to get on a freaking rant here or anything, but it's going to take a lot from many different things for this to really take off, right? So you're going to have to get BTC dominance down. You're going to have to increase, most likely, unless you have just a whole bunch of new money coming in, and I don't see that happening. That if new money comes into the crypto space, it's probably going to be in BTC, right? So you have to draw attention to the smaller projects in order for them to benefit from that increase in overall market cap. So it's tough. It's really tough, and especially whenever there's 5,000 different cryptocurrencies on CoinMarketCap alone, and there's 8,000 I think on CoinGecko, because they basically list everything or they monitor everything. So a 67% BTC dominance, you're not going to have, in my opinion. Not financial advice, of course, but in my opinion, you're not going to see an alt season at all. You'll have your one or two outliers, right? Your one or two anomalies, but you're not going to see any type of an alt season with the BTC dominance at 67%. I don't see that happening. That needs to be dropping steady down to like in the 40% range for you to really see alts start popping off. Just my opinion, but obviously it would be scaled into that. It wouldn't go from 67% to 40%. There would be a scale going down and then alts going up at the same time. I think that is probably what will happen. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling about CCX. I dig the project. I think you should probably look at it. If you're interested in privacy coins, solid project, solid devs, solid community. They don't put up with any BS, as far as drama and stuff. They squash that shit pretty quick. So, yeah, cool stuff. Check them out. I will probably, I got to think about how I'm going to do this new computer and whether or not I'm going to use one of these older power supplies or not. I'll figure it out. I'll let you guys know. Stay savage, everybody.